Hi everyone. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use a calculator to find the standard deviation and how to interpret the results. When you use the TI-84's one-var-stats function, the calculator will display several statistics. These are the three statistics we'll focus on. First, X bar represents the sample mean. Sx represents the sample standard deviation. Sigma x represents the population standard deviation. This is a very common place for students to make mistakes. Be careful here. The calculator gives you both standard deviations. It is your responsibility to choose the correct one. If the problem asks for the sample standard deviation, use Sx. If the problem asks for the population standard deviation, use sigma x. A good habit is to ask yourself, am I working with a sample or a population? Once you answer that question, you know which value to use. Now, let's look at example 3. We're given this data set and we're asked to use the TI-84 calculator to find the standard deviation. Round to 2 decimal places. Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find the standard deviation using a TI-84 calculator. To enter your data, press Stat, choose Edit, then press Enter. You can use any empty list to store your data. In this example, I'll use L2. Enter all your data values into L2. Once you finish entering your data, if you want to exit the screen, press Second Mode. Now, press Start again. Use the right arrow key to move to Calc. Select one var stats, then press Enter. Next to List, enter the list where you store your data. Since I store my data in L2, I'll enter L2 by pressing Second 2. Leave the frequency list blank since I have no frequencies. Highlight Calculate and press Enter. The calculator gives you several statistics. For standard deviation, you have sample standard deviation and population standard deviation. If the problem asks for sample standard deviation, we use Sx. If the problem asks for population standard deviation, we use sigma x. This is the results the calculator gave us. Question A is asking for the sample standard deviation. We are going to use Sx. And when round to 2 decimal places, the sample standard deviation is 8.93. Question B is asking for the population standard deviation. We are going to use sigma x. And when round to 2 decimal places, the population standard deviation is 8.35. Question C. We are asked to interpret the sample standard deviation. The sample standard deviation is 8.93. This means that the data values typically vary by about 8.93 units from the mean.